All right, here we go.
Welcome back to another episode of Whistle Whistle Podcast. John here. You got special guest here. Again, another week, another different setup. We're in person. We got one on the Zoom here. So we are going to dive right into it. It's officially hate week. So I like John for 364 days of the year, and there's one day I can't stand him. And that day is this Saturday. So we're gonna dive in here. We have a special guest, former Buckeye here. I'll let James introduce himself.
Indeed, man. I appreciate you guys having me on. I am James Cotton. I played football for the Buckeyes back in 1998 and 99. Went on to get drafted by the Chicago Bears and play with the Buffalo Bills and the Atlanta Falcons and up in the Canadian Football League for a total of 8 seasons. And everybody always asks the grand old question, did you beat Michigan when you was at Ohio State? Or did you beat that team up north? I was 1-1 against that team up north. So we beat them in 1998, back at the shoe. And then in 1999, we went up there and we lost on the last drive of the game. They had a guy called Tom Brady. And it was back then, it was like you really knew that he had the potential, to be a pretty decent football player, but he obviously went on to do some great things in the NFL, after his college career. But for myself, after I retired from professional football, I was drafted in. Everybody remembers with Tom Brady, he was drafted the 199th pick. I was the 223rd pick of that same draft. So followed behind him a little bit. Was blessed to play 8 seasons professionally myself. And after I retired, I started doing free camps for kids with special needs and underprivileged youth. And then I do a lot of motivational speaking. We were just talking about, you heard me speak at your high school. And so I kind of go around and do that for the Ohio State Alumni Association and just the local schools around the Columbus and surrounding areas. I have a anti-vaping and tackle tobacco campaign where I talk to the youth about the importance of staying away from harmful products and harmful people, and talk about the long-term and short-term effects of vaping and tobacco usage, which is, pretty popular nowadays with vaping. All of the research hasn't been done because it's so new, but, there are some ailments that's plaguing people that use it consistently. So I encourage the young folks to just be mindful of what they're putting into their bodies. And last but not least, I own my own life insurance agency. So if anybody that needs life insurance protection, unfortunately, we all have an expiration date that said it's a guarantee of life, death, and taxes. And so you don't want to leave a huge funeral bill, whoever's going to be picking up the pieces for you. And so my job is just to educate people and to get them covered, to protect their income, protect their assets, and all of that fun stuff that everybody doesn't really like to talk about, but it's a crucial conversation that's needed in all communities, whether you're white, black, Asian, doesn't matter. We all, like I said, have an expiration date, and it will be better for you to be better prepared for that than to be unprepared. Just like our Buckeyes better be prepared to beat up on that team up north.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting teamed up here because I thought we were supposed to have somebody else here with us.
I tell you what, he ducked us just like 2020.
So can't do much about that one there. The Michigan fan base will say that they definitely had the COVID over there, but we'll leave it at that.
We'll see.
We'll see.
So it is. Thanks for joining, James.
Thank you, James.
I used my history minor that I got at the great Ohio State to put together a little bit here. So we're just gonna dive in. The history of the rivalry. It starts kind of over Toledo, of all places, and the Toledo War. 1835, had a little stretch of land. Was Toledo and Maumee, and Ohio claimed it, Michigan claimed it, and they fought over it, and there was one death. An Ohio man stabbed a Michigan sheriff when they came down into Ohio.
Well, things happen.
Yeah. It's there was all that, and it actually got to the point where the federal government got involved and gave Ohio that stretch, and in return, Michigan got the UP. So I guess that was kind of the first win for Michigan, I would say. They got the Upper Peninsula.
Yeah, and the UP is a very beautiful place up there. So that is for sure. So no, that's I love that. It's an interesting story for sure. That how it all started in a way.
Yeah. So that's a quick history of I'd say the boring stuff. The fun stuff is the football. And I mean, not gonna lie. The first meeting, 1897, team up north kind of dominated, and they kind of dominated for a while. Actually, Ohio State's first one wasn't until 1919. But I guess now it seems like we'll go on stretches. I think, right? I mean, we talked right before we started. Ohio State went on a long stretch. And growing up, I don't really remember losing too much to Michigan. From what I remember, we had Jim Tressel come in. That's kind of the first year I remember, the national championship year. So a couple years after you were gone, but it was kind of I didn't know what the rivalry was about because we didn't really lose. It was just another game that we won.
I'm gonna say it was like, oh, this is just an end of the year thing that we win. Sweet, Yeah. But for me, it was obviously a little opposite because I did not have that fortune to say that. But I also kind of got into it a little bit more as well, and towards the end of the Lloyd Carr era and all that stuff. So, which I love him as a coach, and he's a great ambassador as well to the game. And so it's just crazy how, we rivals, you just grew up like, oh, this is just another game. We're feeling like we're good. But then as you grow up, you're like, this is not just another game. And I'm sure James, growing up and knowing the same thing, right? It was different for you, I'm sure. So.
Yeah, indeed. When I was in high school, I wasn't like a diehard Buckeye fan growing up. I really wasn't into football. I didn't play football until I got in the 9th grade. But I do remember like the rivalries, like from like I would say, because my dad would watch the Buckeyes, and from like the 80s, the 90s, and then like once it was time for me to like make a decision to go to school, I was like totally into it at that point. But Michigan was pretty much dominating that rivalry from like the 80s and the 90s to where, well, it kind of went like back and forth in the 80s. And then like John Cooper, I think he was like 2-9-1 against that team up north. I was just excited to be a part of one of those victories. But it was just like, like Ohio State's going into the game undefeated. Michigan obviously lost. But it's like those records go out of the window when it comes down to that particular game. Is the game. It's going to be one of the most physical games that anybody's played the entire season. I just remember last year when they came to the shoe, I just so happened to be down on the sideline and watching the players get warmed up and just like looking at the body language and looking into their eyes to see like kind of like, are they ready to play? And it was just like a weird, eerie day at the shoe where it was just like I didn't feel any type of enthusiasm from like the Buckeyes, and it was just like Michigan was way more enthusiastic in the pregame warmups. They seemed a lot more loose, and it was just because I'm with other former Buckeye greats like Jonathan Wells, Orlando Pace, like we have the Tunnel of Pride going on, and there's a ton of former players making up the Tunnel of Pride, and we were just shocked, like once the ball kicked off and like it just seems the Buckeyes seemed so lethargic, and it was just like, wow, like I can't believe we're playing into their hands and like basically playing into their game plan. And so obviously we all know what happened last year, but that experience, I'm just like, man, And watching when they go up there, you could watch the guys' body language and stuff like that on television. I can't remember I want to say it was like one of the first years Ohio State lost up there. I believe Garrett Wilson was playing. They went up there. It was a snowy day,
21,
and it was just
21.
like, yeah, that. So
21.
yeah, so and it was just like I was just looking at the body language, and it was just like you could tell it was cold. The guys weren't like dialed in and focused, and so like those are some of the things you guys should probably look at. Once the game getting ready to start, and just kind of like watch the pregame stuff as much as you can, and that'll basically tell you who's going to come out on top, like who's excited, who's locked in, who's like pumping the guys up and like getting guys riled up and getting that enthusiasm going. Because like once you create that momentum energy wise and physically, then that's when you can do it out on the field, and whoever dominates up front typically wins the game in these rivalries. But I remember going up there my senior year, and like I said, Tom Brady was the quarterback, and it was back and forth the entire game. Steve Belisari was our quarterback, Jonathan Wells, Mike Wiley running backs, and then our linebackers, Niall Diggs, Joe Cooper, Cortland Bullard, and then our safeties and defensive backfield was amazing. Ahmed Plummer, Nate Clements, and we were locking those guys down. It was just an epic battle. It was late hits. It was roughing the passers, man. And like that type of stuff goes on in the game. And it's like whoever shows, the toughness mentally typically is the team that comes out on top. And we came up a little bit short my senior year. We lost 24-17. Like I said, it was the last drive of the game, and Tom Brady worked his magic. But I like to think that I made him famous by being the last player to sack him twice up there in Ann Arbor.
That's what I was going to come up with here soon. Yeah. We were watching, he sent me a video over of you sacking him twice. I'm like, that's probably pretty cool. I'm sure you can say I sacked Tom Brady in college twice. Like, that's amazing. Like,
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So we got, let's see, all time. You guys are winning, 162, 151, and 6 or something like that?
Yep.
Or 62, 51, and 6.
Yep.
I'm out in a lot of years.
Yeah, we're not going to be alive for those other ones.
Yeah. So, okay, I know I was a student at Ohio State, so I was during the urban era, so I didn't have much to worry about. There's a lot of good games, but a lot of blowout games that I was used to. So my memories and your memories are probably different.
Yeah, but, I mean, obviously, I remember the right before they hired Urban, or they were hiring Urban, was when Michigan won originally back in the only time from 2010 to 2020 or 2019 technically. So for me, it was just very difficult time, because obviously we're all yelling at the TV or yelling at the as a fan at the game, right? But obviously for us, it's different because we're just yelling at the team,
Yeah.
But as James has pointed out now that, you can see it in the pregame warmups, and you can tell with how guys are going to be that day.
Right. So,
yeah.
So your 2 big notable games are the ones you played in. I think I have a couple favorites. I think 2006 game of the century. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
That was a really good one. That was one of the first ones I remember that I really went, wow, this is more than just a game. This is something else.
Yeah, I think I have the same kind of memory on that same thing, because that was one heck of a game, really.
Yeah, and then my other notable is kind of the 10-year war. So like I said, I'm a history guy. So looking back, Woody and Bo, just the back and forth and all the great Woody quotes you get out of the team up north is kind of is a staple for me.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. The 10-year war, right, is just something that just it was a great time for the rival, and obviously James got to live it, so we're very very happy he got to live it, and it's just cool that we're like, I'm serious, like I'm fangirling over you, even though you're an Ohio State grad. So,
and I will hold this over his head forever.
Yes, this video will never be deleted. So even when I get to mention, I said I never said that about an Ohio State guy. So no, I think my most notable probably has to be, obviously, I went to the game when they did beat Ohio State, and I believe it was 2014 with Denard Robinson and all that stuff. But obviously 21, that just kind of switched it for me again, just because I had been feeling that losing streak forever. You're just like, when are we gonna get over that hump? And especially because people were talking about Jim Harbaugh getting fired and stuff, and just like saying, hey, is he ever going to win the game? That's and he finally got over that hump. So for me, that's the most notable. But can you tell us more about you went to junior college right before you went to Ohio State? And what kind of were they kind of looking at you at junior college, or you just what was going on there?
Yeah, so I went to City College of San Francisco. I didn't go to junior college right after high school. I graduated high school in 1994, but my senior year, I tore my ACL playing football, and so I missed the rest of my football season. We were 7 games into the season, and then I missed my basketball season. I was a better basketball player than I was a football player. And then I was able to play my senior year in baseball, but like after that, after I graduated, I basically took a couple years to further rehab my knee, and then I went to City College of San Francisco, January of '96. But when I was in high school, I had every college recruiting that you could think of. But when I got injured, all of my scholarships went out the window. Long story short, I committed to University of Kentucky. And University of Kentucky held my scholarship, and then I scored high enough on the ACT, SAT test score, and I sent them over my transcripts because I was enrolled into a local community college up in Cleveland. I had enrolled full-time when I should have went part-time, and so my eligibility started. So I had to complete my 2-year curriculum before I could get a scholarship. So I did that. Went to a junior college that had a football team, played there, and then went through the whole recruitment process again. It was between Ohio State and Florida State. Of course, I'm from Cleveland, so came home. And really what made that decision was Ohio State was playing Florida State in like the Sugar Bowls, like back to back. And so, like I said, Florida State was hot on my tail. And so I said, whoever wins this Sugar Bowl game, that's the school I'm going to go to. And Florida State dominated Ohio State, and I was like, the Buckeyes really need me, so I'm going to Ohio State.
That's one way to put it right there. Yeah, go ahead. Keep going there, James.
So not too many people know that story, just kind of like the way I got to Ohio State. And Bill Connelly came out and recruited me out of City College of San Francisco, and because they were recruiting a defensive end that came to Ohio State before I got here. So another guy from my junior college went the year prior to me coming out. His name was Paul Breed, big defensive tackle. He was like 6'8", 300 pounds, and he ended up playing a couple seasons for the Buckeyes, and then he kind of paved the way for me. So since they were recruiting him, and then I'm obviously on that same defense, and Andy Katzenmoyer was getting ready to leave, and so they needed a middle linebacker, and that's my natural position was middle linebacker. But when I got to Ohio State, they changed me from middle linebacker to defensive end. And so, long story short, that is kind of like how I got to Ohio State from junior college. And then, because my junior college, we lost the national championship. So I only played in front of big crowds like maybe once or twice, but then once I got to the horseshoe, it was like, whoa.
You're probably like, wow, okay.
Yeah, so my high school, we would get probably 100 people in the stands, and junior college would probably be like 300 people, and then Ohio State, you're talking 100,000 plus, and that was just kind of like a shock in itself. But
yeah, that's
quite the shock.
It's definitely quite the shock, but it's also just a great story of telling people right there, if they are going to be watching this, is it's okay to go to a junior college. It's okay to do things like that because you still can get a chance to get recruited to a school that you dreamed about going to. So
yeah. So
and here's a quick little caveat, man. Just how small the world is. So I went to City College in San Francisco, and you guys know where Tom Brady is from, right? He's from
Oh yeah.
from the Bay Area. So my number one receiver on my junior college team was Tom Brady's number one in high school.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I know I talked vicariously through my guy and said, "Hey man, tell your boy I'm gonna get him in the big game."
That's awesome. I love that.
So
That's
yeah,
true. That's what I love about it.
and so if you guys ever watch the documentary on Amazon with Tom Brady, my guy, his name is John Kirby. He played football, like I said, with me at City College of San Francisco, but he was Tom Brady's number one receiver in high school and really good friend. And so, but Tom has been great over the years. I've sent him like a Patriots jersey, he autographed it, sent it back. So I mean, it's like, there's no ill will or anything like that. But
Yeah,
I just thought that's just like a small story.
That's cool.
That's
really
that's
cool.
great. Yeah, I would have never see. This is why we like to talk about these things, because it's just great that, like I said, just hearing different perspectives. And I guess I might have to watch that documentary now on that, just to know now that I know who it is.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's great though that Tom Brady did though. Like I feel like during when you're playing the game, it's obviously a lot more intense and all that stuff. But also it's just cool that even afterwards. I mean, I'm sure if you guys somehow found each other on the street, you got to give each other crap and all that stuff, but you guys would still be cool in a way. So except that day, of course. So
I guess I'm a huge traditions guy. So I'm gonna ask you, what was your favorite tradition, not only during the week, but just at Ohio State in general?
My favorite tradition is senior tackle. So you have all of the seniors, they hit the dummy one last time. And I'm not for certain if Ryan Day still does this or not, but I heard that he moved senior tackle to kind of like bowl week instead of doing it the team up north week, because that's when it always was when I was in school. And that was just kind of like the history from Ohio State. So senior tackle, you would have other Buckeye greats come in. I remember seeing Jack Tatum, John Brockington, John Hicks, just like a lot of the old school players that come in that week specifically. And, it's the seniors' last time hitting the dummy in practice. And it just kind of like culminates, that team up north week. And, for a lot of us back in the 90s playing, it was like beating that team up north was a real difficult challenge, and it didn't go our way all of the time. And so when you had an opportunity to send your seniors out the right way, I know the seniors back in 1998 was like Joe Germain, Antoine Winfield, Joe Montgomery, John Lumpkin, D. Miller, like a lot of Buckeye greats. And to send those guys out, one of my favorites is Damon Moore, who plays safety. But to see those guys finally get that monkey off their butt back and have an opportunity we beat that team up north 31-16 in the shoe, and it was just an amazing atmosphere where you got these guys crying and like guys was taking. This is when we had the grass field, and it was real similar to, you guys mentioned this game earlier, it was the 2006 game. That game had similar connotations to it because I was on the sideline for that game too. And that was actually probably my last time being on the sideline, like for an actual game. I would go down on the sidelines for like pregame and stuff like that, but to watch the game on the sidelines and just enjoy it from that view. That was probably my last game, but it was probably the best because I got a chance to be up close and personal with the guys and to celebrate with them on the field. The fans rushed the field after that game, and it was just great, man. And that's like, as a former player, you get some privileges like that, man, and you just never take it for granted. At least I know I don't. And just to be a part of our brotherhood and, watching these guys go into battle, what you once done, and you put the pads on and the blood, sweat, and tears, and then just the stories that come about it. I had an opportunity to talk to the team over the years and just sharing just kind of like my experience and just making your mark. And making your impact and like what do you want to be remembered for from this game. And I remember specifically talking to a Vernon Ghostin. You guys might have remembered him. He had a big monster game against that team up north, and it was just like I just told him straight up, man, how do you want to be remembered? Like, if you want to be remembered as a Buckeye dominant defensive end or in a great, like, you got to make some impactful plays in this game. And so to be a part of the tradition and the history, um, I'm a real humble guy. It's just like, I watch the film of myself and be like, wow, that was me. Like, it's just like, man, but it was just like, I always prided myself on always doing my best and, doing whatever it takes to help the team win and set an example for the people that's going to be coming after me. And that's one of the biggest compliments I can receive is like, I just remember talking to a guy named Will Smith, God rest his soul, and him telling me like, hey, you one of the reasons why I came to the Ohio State, man, the way you flew around and how you hit people. And I was just like, man, those are great high praises from individuals that, respect, the work that you put in. And the fact that I changed positions from a linebacker to a defensive end, it's not an easy thing to do, but like I said, you just got to do what's best for the team and pray that your coaches put you in a position to make some plays. And if not, you just got to go out there and make the plays.
Right. So it sounds like you're around the team a lot. How different is it like from, Tressel to Urban to Ryan Day, like the preparation? I know because I was in school during Urban era, and you heard what was it, LL Cool J, Time for War, like all throughout campus all week.
Yeah, I think all of those coaches have different coaching styles. So I think that Jim Tressel, I would say he doesn't get enough credit for changing the tide. I know I talk to Jonathan Wells about this all the time, and just like how the team that he was on in 2001 that went up there and beat that team up north after 14 years, that broke the curse. And like that week, like I believe that was Tressel's first or second year, and they went up there and beat them. And like it was like ever since then, it was just like the tide had changed to Ohio State. And then you had Tressel's run, and then all of a sudden that whole scandal thing, and Tressel get relieved of his duties. Luke Fickell come in, lose a close one, and then Urban comes in and basically rewrites the history book and dominates the rivalry, never loses a game. Now, there were some close ones in there, but just dominated the series. But his coaching style was very in your face, like almost fear tactics, and like making guys absolutely hate him, but he got the best out of his players from that mentality. It's almost like reverse psychology type of thing. But Jim Tressel was laid back. Jim Tressel was more like, I'm gonna build trust, I'm gonna lay the foundation, you guys get to know each other. And it's almost like Remember the Titans, where they all had to like learn who their family was, and like Jim Tressel was great for that. And I can honestly say, like, playing for John Cooper, he treated it as it was just like another game. It wasn't really kind of like pounded in your head, like, hey, like, we gotta dominate. It was like you knew and understood it as a player, but it was just more so like I feel like if he would have reinforced it and just did some more mental challenges and just kind of like pulled the Jedi mind trick to get guys to think about it in a more violent way and something like that, then he probably could have pulled out some of those closer games, because I don't think they got blew out in a lot of those games that John Cooper lost. It was just more of a mental toughness thing. So if you go back and look, it's just like Michigan just seemed to be a little bit more mentally tough than the Buckeyes was in some of those games. So, and then now with Coach Day, fast forward all the way to Coach Day, like he's trying to figure it out. He still hasn't figured it out. So the jury is out. And so like, hopefully this season he can kind of get the monkey off his back to help himself sleep better at night. But I just felt like I don't know if this has anything to do with it. Him changing the tradition of senior tackle and moving that date and just taking away a little mental toughness from the guys where they don't feel like they're playing for the seniors. They're just playing another game. But when you add playing for the seniors and doing whatever it takes to make sure these guys get a victory, or else you're going to be in the category of some seniors that's 0-5 or 0-4 against that team up north. And none of these guys talk about that, when we see each other. It's just like, you talk about like who is the crew of guys that never beat that team up north. And unfortunately, there's a couple groups from kind of like the early 90s that never beat that team up north. And then now this group from 2020 up until the current day, like, hasn't beaten that team. And so it's like, now it's like, how do you get these guys to believe? And so I guess the jury is still out. And so until he actually beat them, then that's kind of like where we'll be at. But we're going to find out on Saturday.
That's right. He better do something. I didn't think he was going to make it out of the stadium last year. I say we were there. It was not very pleasant.
So, James, we always have to ask, though, like, what is your, obviously, we probably can guess your prediction, but what do you think, like, score-wise, prediction-wise, this coming Saturday?
This coming Saturday, based on how Ohio State's been playing all season, I have seen snippets of the team up north play and kind of like the talent level that they have. They are a team with, the team up north is a team with pride. They're scrappy. If you let them hang around, they'll hang around. And they got some offensive linemen, some defensive linemen that are on scholarship and that are pretty good players. And so, as a score prediction, I would say, because Ohio State really hasn't kind of like taken the top off of anybody this year intentionally. I think they kind of just done it based on their talent level. We got far superior talent than a lot of the other schools. But as far as a score prediction, I would say Ohio State will be 38-9. I don't foresee them scoring any touchdowns. That's just my score prediction. And I really haven't thought about it until you guys just really asked me. So I'm kind of going through my head.
Hey, we like your first honest reaction. We like it. So What do you got there, Vaughn?
I'm going. I will give him one touchdown. I'll say. I want to say it's 45-10.
Okay. See, I was thinking around, sadly, as a Michigan fan, right? Of course, I like my pride in blue, but at the same time, you guys just have so much great talent. I mean, if there is supposed to be snow, and it might be, it could linger a few things, but if the snow kind of holds off and stuff, I feel like you guys are going to blow us out of the water, because your receiving core is just insane. Your running back room is always going to be good, and your freshman quarterback has been playing really great, as a freshman, right? That's anybody would love to have that. So I would say for me, it's going to be 34-6.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's Michigan losing. That's not, it's just, I feel like it's going to be a tough game for Michigan, because they looked good last week, but like you said, if they let them linger, it's going to be different. But if not, if they play how they're supposed to, if Ohio State plays how they're supposed to, you guys are going to blow us out the water.
I think as long as we don't play to their style of game, play our game, and go about it that way, I think there's no repeat of last year.
True.
At least let's hope so.
Right.
I don't think I'm going to make it out of Ann Arbor.
Is there anything else you got to add there?
I don't have anything else. Any last thing from?
No, I think, James, you got anything you want to add to it for us?
Add to the score prediction, or
anything you want, anything that you think that you want to add,
any fun story or anything.
I just think that in order to get the rivalry back in Ohio State's favor, like Ohio State is going to have to clearly come out and dominate, up front, which they've been doing to most of the teams this year. They've been controlling the line of scrimmage, and the defensive line has probably shocked me the most. I thought there would be kind of like not a fall off, if you will, but just kind of like who's going to be that next person to step up, outside of that will be your next Jack Sawyer or JTT. But our guys up front now, Jackson and McDonald, those guys are playing their butts off and getting in the backfield and creating some havoc. So Michigan will have their hands full, and as long as Ohio State dominate up front, and they just got to win the game. It's like it's great to predict the score. I don't care if they win 3-0. Just win the game. But that's the beauty that comes along with this rivalry is that you just never know what's going to happen. It's unpredictable. Like last year, we thought we was going to blow the shoe up, man. It was going to be like a track meet out there, and guess what? We got dominated, and so that's the beauty of this rivalry. Anything can happen, but I'm just excited that my time at Ohio State and being a part of the brotherhood and being a part of this tradition in this week, it's going to be a tough challenge for these guys, man, because going 0-5 against this team, in this big rivalry, it'll be super disappointing, and I'm pretty sure nobody wants that. So it's a lot of pressure on Ohio State. Quiet as kept. There's a lot of pressure, and hopefully they don't succumb to the pressure, but basically level up and take care of business. But that's just kind of like the key points to this upcoming week. I know what helped me was the visualization process. As a player, you kind of visualize yourself doing certain things, and like no lie, like the night before we played the team up north, man, I visualized myself making those sacks in that game, man. And it was just like deja vu. And so whenever I have the opportunity to talk to guys, especially like football players, young football players, I'm like, man, how much are you visualizing yourself? Like imagining yourself sweating, imagining yourself getting tired, like actually controlling your breathing. Imagine those things. Imagine yourself like when you're watching film, putting yourself in those positions with a tackle like giving you a tail that you could take advantage of, and just imagine yourself beating them around the corner, getting a sack, making a tackle for loss, making an interception. Like all of those things, that's how you become, not just a good football player. That's how you become great. And the great ones visualize themselves making impacts in these special moments. And then guess what? You'll have a tall tale to tell your kids one day, hey, I was the last player to sack Tom Brady twice in the big house. So
do your kids believe that?
There's video evidence.
There is video evidence, but they're probably like, yeah, okay, Dad. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, so they know.
As they should. But so no, for us though, we're gonna have a friendly wager of just for our podcast, we're gonna just whoever ends up winning, we're gonna change jerseys and have to wear it for the next podcast.
So I gotta find a brand new crisp Ohio State jersey.
Yeah, so
for John to put on.
Yeah, I gotta get one from James.
Yeah.
There you go. And you guys say you wanted a funny story. I got one last funny story. So when I was playing with the Atlanta Falcons, I was the only Ohio State player on the team, and our kicker for the Falcons was Jay Feely. You guys may see him on TV doing announcing and stuff like that. So this would have been 2003. Do you guys remember the Ohio State-Michigan game in 2003?
I don't.
I mean, not much. I was only
I was 9 years old, so probably.
Yeah, so this would have been my first and last time betting on the Buckeyes. So, I'm talking crap. And so Jay Feely is like, okay, if Ohio State win, I'll put on your Letterman jacket, vice versa. So, and I'm so glad there's no footage of this anywhere. So Ohio State loses to Michigan in 2003, and I had to put on the Michigan Letterman jacket, in practice in our locker. I had to wear it around the facility, and I was just like, man, my Buckeyes let me down, man. And it was just like, and he's like, Jay Feely's like a little dude, so I got this little tight Letterman jacket on with an M on it, and I just was like so devastated and just like I really wanted to piss on this jacket, but and give it back to him.
Matched up at least.
So that was my last time betting on the Buckeyes when it comes to kind of like those types of exchanges. But I have seen Tom Brady with Mike Vrabel's jersey on. There's footage of that. I'm just glad that there's no footage of me wearing this tight ass Michigan Letterman jacket.
Oh, that has been some scene right there.
That's great. That's great.
Well, thank you for your time, James. We really appreciate you coming out and talking with us.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you guys having me. And then whoever is watching this, if you guys would like to get James Cotton autograph stuff, jerseys, hats, mini helmets, footballs, and always inscribe it, last player to sack Tom Brady twice in the big house, you could go to my website, Buck Icon. That's www.buckicon.com/shop, SHOP. And you can see my jerseys, mini helmets, all of that fun stuff. And we also got Christmas ornaments up there. We got Beat That Team Up North buttons. So we got the buttons with the M slashed out of it. And all of the proceeds contribute to my free football camp that I do for kids with special needs. So anybody that's out there listening, you guys hop on and check it out. And then if there's anything I can do for you guys with life insurance protection, my secret to everybody is the younger you are, the least expensive it's going to be. So the younger you are, the cheaper it is. So get it while you're young, because you never know what type of health problems you could have. I literally have gone to 2 funerals in this past week, just unexpected deaths. And one person had coverage, one person didn't. Somebody had to create a GoFundMe, and that's just not a fun thing to do, to have to ask the community to take care of a responsibility that you should have had taken care of. So if I can help you guys out with that, you could call or text 614-517-2172. Follow me on all social media at Buck Icon, at BUCKICON.
Okay.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll try to get all that in a link down there below and share it, and we'll share it with you so you can share it and get the word out. So
yeah. Like I said, thank you again, James. We appreciate it, really.
Yeah.
No problem, man. Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.
Have a good one, James.
Absolutely, you too.